enthroned in hell. That's only because most modern depictions of the devil are based on the card of the same name in the popular Riot Wyatt tarot deck, and this card itself is based on Levi's depiction of Baphomet. Certainly the creature presented by Levi looks demonic and evil, with the head and legs of a goat, along with a human torso sporting both male and female sexual organs. On its forehead is that foremost symbol of witchcraft, the pentagram, and between its horns issues forth an inflamed torch. Levi repeatedly stated that Baphomet was not the same as the devil, however. Rather, it was a symbol of a transcendental power beyond good and evil, man and beast, or male and female energies. Baphomet was, in Levi's view, the synthesis of all energy, both on earth and in heaven, forming something greater than the sum of its parts, capable of performing any transformation of matter which the human mind could conceive. It is really by looking at the architectural motifs that decorate the Templar properties and the items left within them that we can get a clue as to what their secret doctrine actually was. The first place to look to is a series of depictions of similar creatures discovered on Templar properties by a 19th century Austrian Orientalist scholar named Joseph Baron von Hammer-Purgstall, presented in his book Mystery of Baphomet Revealed. In it, he documented a number of objects discovered at Templar properties throughout Europe. Von Hammer-Purgstall's, quote, Baphometic idols, as they were later called by other authors, consisted mostly of statuettes, coffers, and cups presenting strange images of inhuman figures. 7 of the images showed only a head, and in 2 of these cases it is a head with 2 faces, much akin to the descriptions given by some Templars of the Baphomet head. Many of them were decorated with scenes of bizarre pagan sex rites, including someone bending over and kissing the buttocks of a strange idol. One image in particular, from the lid to a coffer found in Burgundy, looks most especially like it might have influenced Eliphas Levi's depiction of Baphomet. It shows a female figure crowned with towers, just like the goddess Cybele of the ancient world. She is holding in each hand a chain, and connected to each chain, floating in the air and upside down, are the figures of the sun and the moon. Below the figure's feet are a 7-pointed star and a pentagram. Between these is a human skull. This combination of images was not unique, but rather turned up repeatedly at Templar properties. In other versions, the figure is shown with a beard, making it quite clear that it was meant to be taken as androgynous, just like Levi's Baphomet. A possible origin of the goat-headed aspect can be found in the von Hammer-Purgstall collection as well. This is a depiction of a winged and goat-headed figure with the human legs seated upon an eagle. Arabic, Greek, and Latin inscriptions were found among these images too. One in particular brings to mind the confessions of the Knights Templar about Baphomet. Von Hammer-Purgstall translated it thus: "Let meat be exalted, who causes things to bud and blossom. He is our root, it is 1 in 7. Abjure and abandon thyself to all pleasures." You will recall that some confessing Templars said Baphomet, quote, caused the land to germinate. Von Hammer-Purgstall believed that the Templars had been secret practitioners of Ophite Gnosticism. The word Ophite comes from the Greek word for snake. They revered the serpent of Genesis as the one who bestowed wisdom upon mankind. Like most Gnostics, the Ophites believed that the physical universe was a prison created by a demon named Yaldabaoth. Boath comes from Bithos or Behut, and means chaos or the deep. It is connected to our modern words like bath and baptize. Chaos was called the abyss or the primeval waters, and was analogous to the, quote, first matter that the alchemists believed creation came from. Yalda means son of. In Gnostic cosmology, Yaldabaoth was the son of Sophia, or wisdom. The implication is that chaos, the first matter, is wisdom, and is the mother of creation. There is plenty of evidence that the Templars did practice Gnosticism, including a coin that has been found with the words Templi Secreti, or Secret of the Temple, written upon it. On one side there is an unmistakable depiction of the Gnostic deity Abraxas. He was viewed as the, quote, Great Archon, the union of good and evil, masculine and feminine. Like Baphomet, he is a chimera, with a hawk's head, a man's body, and serpents for legs. On the other side of the coin was a serpent with a lion's head, a common Gnostic depiction of Yaldabaoth. The word, quote, meat, found written next to the Baphometic idols, surveyed by von Hammer-Purgstall, was a Greek word for wisdom. He believed Baphomet was an allusion to the Gnostic rite of Baphometus, the baptism of wisdom. Also, meat has been connected by some linguists to the name of the sun god Mithras, worshipped by some Gnostics as an incarnation of divine wisdom. Aleister Crowley believed that Baphomet meant, quote, Father Mithras. More recently, Dr. Hugh Schoenfield, known for his work on the Dead Sea Scrolls, also proffered an interpretation that again led back to this concept of divine wisdom or gnosis. He said that, quote, Baphomet, when transliterated into Aramaic and fed through a cipher, yields the word Sophia, another Greek word meaning wisdom. Idris Shah, in his book The Sufis, wrote that the image of the goat head with a candle between its horns comes from the disciples of Abu el-Atahiyah, a famous Arab poet and mystic who led a cult called the Revelers, or the Wise Ones. Their insignia was this goat head, said to represent their tribe, the Aniza, meaning goat. Another one of their signs was the pentagram. However, another thing that comes to mind with the image of a candle between the horns is that miners used to mount candles on top of their helmets when they were going down in the mines. This may connect the Aniza goat with the Azazel goat, the king of the jinn, or demons, who is worshipped as the true god by the Yazidi sect in Iraq. The jinn are thought to live underground, and are said in folk tales to have invented mining and metallurgy, which Azazel, like Hephaestus to the Greeks and Vulcan to the Romans, was considered the patron deity of. Other legends link them with the children of Cain and Tubal-Cain in the Bible, who were likewise credited with inventing these vital arts of civilization. With this in mind, it is worth noting that Idris Shah sees the Aniza goat as the inspiration for the goat-headed god worshipped by the medieval European witches. Believed by the church to be the devil, they reveled in their secret unions with a figure they sometimes called the, quote, coal blacksmith. Like the Templars, their rituals also involved kissing a goat's behind and trampling on the cross. Like the Templars, they believed their hidden deity could bestow upon them fertility and wealth. This word Azazel also reminds me of the word Azoth. This was a personification of the alchemical, quote, alkahest, the universal agent, the philosopher's stone, or the quintessence, the fifth element. This was the original substance from which, they said, the whole universe was formed. The alchemists believed that it was found within the prima materia, or first matter, mentioned previously, the chaos or abyss out of which the created world was formed. It was believed that this substance could be used to transform any one thing into another. Again, like Baphomet, the Azoth was a chimera of different creatures, an androgynous being in whose body all of the disparate elements of the universe were united to form a whole. The A and Z in its name represented the beginning and the end of the alphabet. Aleister Crowley pointed out that the A or Aleph is the first letter of both the Latin, Greek, and Hebrew alphabets. O is like Omega, the final letter of the Greek alphabet, and T or Tau is the final letter in Hebrew. So in every way possible, this creature represents the totality of existence combined, the sum of all knowledge collected all over the world in every culture. The name Azoth may be related to the Arabic Al-Za'uk, which means the Mercury. A variety of similar chimera creatures were used by different alchemists throughout the centuries to represent this idea. One thing that they all have in common is that they are androgynous. Most of the archons in the Gnostic creation myths were said to be androgynous. In the Kabbalah, along with other folklore from Jewish and Islamic cultures, the first Adam and Eve were a united being, and only separated after being seduced by the serpent, who was also a hermaphroditic being, consisting of the male serpent Samael and Lilith, the female serpent. There are even hints of this in Genesis itself. The word hermaphrodite comes from Greek mythology. Hermes and Aphrodite were said to have a son, Hermaphroditus, whose body became merged with that of a water nymph to become both male and female. Generally, he was depicted as a woman with male genitalia. On Cyprus, he was represented in the form of a herm. A herm was generally a pillar on top of which was a bust of Hermes, or sometimes a full torso, and on the front there was an erect penis sticking out. Worshippers would rub it with their hands, or worse, for good luck. I haven't been able to find any pictures, so we can only assume that the hermaphroditic herms had breasts or other female attributes as well. Interestingly, Aphrodite is the equivalent of the Roman Venus or the Babylonian Ishtar, in whose temple money was invented as a form of payment for the sacred prostitutes that were her priestesses. In other words, it is a union with the goddess of love and wisdom with the god of commerce, communication, and wisdom. In future installments of this series, I'll show you pictures of modern versions of this goddess holding a caduceus. The caduceus turns up in another Greek myth of interest, that of Tiresias. He is said to have come upon a couple of serpents mating on a stick while walking through the woods and interrupted them, whereupon the goddess Hera cursed him by turning him into a woman. He stayed a woman for 7 years, working as a sacred priestess or prostitute in Hera's temple. The staff of Hermes can be found on Eliphas Levi's depiction of Baphomet, with his phallus forming the pole that the serpents are wrapped around. A connection between Baphomet and Hermes seems obvious, since Hermes was a satyr, half man and half goat. He was the father of his race of satyrs, seemingly equivalent to the serum or goat demons of the Hebrews, of whom Azazel was seen as the progenitor. Another place the caduceus turns up is right on the frontispiece for De Re Metallica, the book about metallurgy written by alchemist Giorgio Agricola, who was in charge of the silver mining at Yakima Valley in Bohemia, where the first thalers or dollars were minted. In this case, it's the personal device of the printer, Johann Froben. If you go to this article on the website, libertycatpress.com, you can see the picture I'm talking about. Notice the two left hands holding the staff. The left or sinister hand has always been associated with the devil, whose mysteries are called the left-hand path of initiation. We'll follow up on these themes in the next installment. Right now we're going to cut to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk with William H. Kennedy.
Mary Magdalene, the contemplative, the penitent, the apostle's apostle. Biblical woman of mystery. Throughout history, Mary Magdalene has captivated the imagination of artists, philosophers, theologians, and Merovingian dynastic theorists, and the legends she inspired live and evolve today as they have for 2 millennia. These legends inspired designer Dwayne Wisdom to conceive the Legends of Mary Magdalene medal, a creation unlike any other piece of jewelry anywhere in the world. The Legends of Mary Magdalene medal, in one stunning image, projects the most powerful aspects of this amazing woman's life, most prominently the miracle of the red egg. To see this breathtakingly powerful work of art, go to rosettagrams.com or where'smyjewelry.com or search Facebook for the Legends of Mary Magdalene medallion page. The Legends of Mary Magdalene medal, available in sterling silver, 12-karat gold filled, and 14-karat gold from where'smyjewelry.com.
Johnson Tattoo Studio is a family business that's kept the Johnson name in the Detroit area tattoo trade since 1965. We are currently operated by second-generation tattooist and body piercer Roscoe Johnson. At Johnson Tattoo, there are 2 artists available at all times and a third one apprenticing. We offer professional, safe, and artistic tattooing and body piercing at reasonable prices. We can work with your idea or devise custom solutions for you. Loyal clients love Johnson Tattoo Studio because we have prices that working people can afford and a down-to-earth atmosphere without blaring music, skateboard ramps, or reality show drama. We're approachable, not snobs or trendy body art twits, and we back up our work with a free touch-up policy. Johnson Tattoo is licensed by the state and county health departments. We're located at 25119 Ecorse Road in Taylor, Michigan, between Telegraph and Beach Daily, toward the Detroit Metro Airport. We're open Wednesday through Sunday from 1 to 9 p.m. You can find us at johnsontat.com or call 313-292-0534. That's 313-292-0534. Okay, we're back on The Invisible Hand, and now for our feature interview. Today's guest is occult expert and host of Sphinx Radio, William H. Kennedy. Kennedy has done hundreds of interviews and written several books, including Lucifer's Lodge, Satanic Ritual Abuse in the Catholic Church, Satanic Crime, A Threat in the New Millennium, and Occult History. His work can be found at williamhkennedy.com. Here now is William H. Kennedy. So, Bill, what made you decide to do an audiobook about Jackie Gleason? Have you always been a fan of his?
Well, I actually met Jackie Gleason a couple times in Miami when I was a little kid, and I even played pool with him on 1 or 2 occasions, and that was a big impetus because years later, now he died in 1987, years later, when a few books on his life came out, I bought them, and what I discovered that I never knew about Jackie Gleason is that he was obsessed with the paranormal and the occult and esoteric matters all through his life from when he was 16 years old. And it's very strange because in the late 40s and early 50s, he was exploring these paranormal things, and he was also taking amphetamines and smoking marijuana. So he was kind of a precursor to the hippie movement.
What led to you playing pool with him? How did you meet him?
My parents and I used to stay at a place down there called the 12 Caesars, which was on my